AITAH for telling my Phil they won't ever be living with us? Prior to my wife and I trying for our first, we spoke with both sets of parents and said, would they have any interest in helping with watching their grandkids until preschool starts? Both were over the moon excited, all four fully retired, and they all said absolutely. The plan was to trade off weeks so they know their schedule for booking their own appointments, etc. Wife gets pregnant, and around 10 weeks post-birth she's getting ready to transition back to work, and her parents said they've changed their minds and decided to travel more and want to enjoy their elder years. Okay. My parents did their absolute best to pick up in-laws' slack, but daily childcare was too much with my wife and I working full-time, so we ended up with my parents watching on Mondays and Wednesdays, paying for childcare on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and my wife and I working half-days on Fridays to handle that, with my parents taking the Friday whenever we needed them to. They're incredible. It was very frustrating to have in-laws say one thing and do the opposite. In 6 years, they've never once watched any of our kids for a single day. So my wife and I bought a house about a week ago. They're over-checking it out as we're unboxing, and my Phil sees this house has a first full master with full bath. He turns to Mill and says, "Oh, thank God, we won't have to do stairs." I said, "Come again?" Mill says of my wife and her two siblings, "We are doing by far the best, and it would make the most sense for them to live with us, as they're in their 70s, and a house is becoming too much for them already." I audibly laughed hard and loud and said, "Hell would freeze before you live here," which was met by shock from both of them. I explained that when we needed their help, they turned their backs, so we were simply doing the same. My wife agreed. She expressed how expensive and how difficult it was with zero help from one side of our village. That was their call, but we were now returning the favor. They're incredibly upset and hurt over this revelation. Were we TA for this stance? I don't think so at all, but if the votes are a bloodbath, I'll reconsider as we have the space. Hello, this post has made it to our all. For anyone new here, please take a moment to familiarize yourself with our rules. In the sidebar and wiki, https www.reddit.com AITAH wiki index. Before commenting, remain civil and use the reporting feature for any activity you suspect is breaking the rules, including rude or derogatory language, bots, or AI use. I am a bot, and this action was performed automatically. Please contact the moderators of this subreddit. Message, compose, to AITAH if you have any questions or concerns. NTA. All these folks saying you should not laugh are missing the part where they walked in your house, talked between themselves about the appropriateness of your master bedroom for themselves without ever discussing it with you or your spouse. The audacity. Anytime they try to bring it up again, you just need to say, "The audacity you two have trying to claim a room in a home you didn't pay 1 cent toward and didn't even have a conversation with us about before we purchased it. The freaking audacity of you two." You both did good calling out these entitled goobers. NTA. The sheer audacity of not just assuming they could move in, but they get the main bedroom with a full bath. If they don't want to deal with a full house, they can buy a condo or something. There are a lot of 55-plus communities popping up everywhere, edit. Thank you for the awards. Miel says of my wife and her two siblings, "We are doing by far the best, and it would make the most sense for them to live with us, as they're in their 70s, and a house is becoming too much for them already." How nice for them that they have the option of shopping around for the wealthiest kid to impose themselves upon. Edit. Thank you for all the awards. OP should tell in-laws, "Sorry, my parents are going to be living here when they need, as they have helped us so much." My mom and dad helped a lot with my kids when they were little. They also came to ball games, school events, etc. A few years ago, my mom's health took a nosedive, and my boys and I moved in to help with doctor's appointments and managing a new form of chaos. Unfortunately, it was my dad that surprised us and passed in his sleep. Unfortunate it was so sudden, not that it was him versus my mom. Leaving my medically fragile mom heartbroken. My boys and I have stayed, and I manage her meds, do all her driving, run her errands, etc. I have no qualms about it. She was there for my kids, and I without question. We will be there for her. My response would have been along the lines of the only reason that you and your wife are doing better than her siblings is because you actually had your family stepping up to make it possible. NTA, this is a hill to die on. NTA and fuck being nicer. They don't owe you help, and you don't owe them a retirement home. Also, a bigger deal than daily childcare is not watching the kids a single time in 6 years? What kind of grandparents aren't involved at all? NTA, their elder years are for traveling and enjoying life. Why would they want to live in a house with kids? You're simply looking out for them. They can buy a camper and travel the world. The second master is reserved for your parents who have given up so much to help your family, and you all look forward to returning their kindness. My mother-in-law, who was a former kindergarten teacher, was very firm with us that she would not help watch our first child. We didn't ask her to, and I'm not sure if I would have wanted that anyway. So it was fine. We did daycare, much harder emotionally than we expected for the first months, until the second child, and then the wife stayed home 2 years with both while we depleted our savings every month. All good.